Alright guys, so I got all kinds of goodies from Elmwood Electronics. I ordered the stuff from Adafruit online. All my stuff for the Arduino. So here I've got an LCD. What have I got here? I've got a load cell amplifier here, ultrasonic sensor, my actual load cells over here. I've got, I believe this is the thermocouple or the, I can't remember, RTD amplifier. No, that's the RTD amplifier. Here's my thermocouple amplifier. So I got all kinds of goodies, but before I use them, I've got to solder some of my ends on here. So like something like this, like the thermocouple amplifier, I've got to solder on the actual terminal blocks. So I'll show you the little tiny terminal blocks here, and they're going to go on these tabs right here. Let's just focus in. Hello. There we go. And then these terminals right here have got to be soldered on here so I can make use of this and tie this into my Arduino board. So I'm going to be soldering. The only solder that I could find was a lead-based solder. So I've relegated myself out to my wife's potting bench in the back here. So let me give you a few, let me get set up and then I'll show you all the bits and pieces that I'm using to do the soldering. So I'm going to be using an electronic soldering iron, one that has a variable output here. I've got my sponge on the top here, and I haven't doused this thing with lots of water. I've just wet it so that I can clean off my tip every once in a while. If you take a look at my tip, though, it is in dire straits of a new tip. Look at that bad boy. It is just smoking a pancake. Like, it's all rusted. I mean, it's probably going to work fine. But I'll show you how to change out the tip. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen off this bad boy right here. Then we can slide this out, and then we're able just to take the tip and pull it out just like so. Okay, then we can grab a new tip and throw it in. So my new tips are right here. So I've got a bag of different types of tips. So let's see. I'll show you all the different ones that come here. Let's see if we can zoom in here. My zoom is not working. Zoom! There we go. Okay, perfect. Okay, so you can see the different tips there. So there's one with a straight, like a pointed edge there. This one is more like a chisel. There we go. So you can see that chisel head there. I'm just doing small little micro components, so that might be a little bit too large. If that one was half the size, it'd be mint for what I'm doing. And what else have we got in here? We got little tiny guys, like this guy with a beveled edge. Come on, dude. Just focus. There we go. Okay, so there's a beveled edge on this bad boy right here. But I'm probably just going to use a similar tip to the one that I just took off. Just like one with a nice, oh, look at this. Nice. Beautiful. I missed this one. I didn't see, I thought this was one with a pointed tip here. But again, this here has a beveled edge. I don't know if you could just make it out. It's like a slot screwdriver there. So I'm going to make use of this guy. It looks like exactly what I'm looking for. It's going to be able to heat up, and it's got that flat surface there that I can use to heat up each of my different components. I'm just going to be putting the heat on this guy for 2 seconds at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide this bad boy in here. Okay, and then we'll take that collar and slide it back over and then tighten it up. Then we are ready to unrock and unroll. Put this guy back in there. This is key, having something to place your soldering iron into. That guy is going to get smoking hot. If you're not looking at what you're doing, then you can end up smoking the cable here. So it's just the actual insulation on the outside, but just missed getting through to the neutral there. So, and I think there's a number of other places where it's been nicked, but just put this guy in here because it's going to get smoking hot once we turn this guy on. Okay, so since we're using some lead-based solder, we're going to set this guy to 650 degrees. turn this bad boy on and we'll let this guy heat up for a little while. So we'll come back in a few seconds once we see that the heat has built up to around 650. Beauty. Okay, so that took quite a while to heat up. Now we're ready to rock and roll. What we'll do first, though, is we'll tin that new tip. So let's do that first, guys. So let's grab this tip here. And by tinning, I mean what we're going to do is we're just going to put a little bit of solder on the tip here. Heat this bad boy up. There we go. And we'll get that guy to move around. We'll use the cloth here to move it around a touch. There we go. That's better. Kind of just staying on the surface there. Okay, that's cool. Excessive amount of smoke. But now we've got a good covering on the tip of the solder. Let me just clean that up just a bit more here. Okay, so now we've got like a covering of solder on the end of the tip now. And now we're ready to do a little bit of soldering on our components. Okay, so making sure that the terminals are facing in the right direction, we're now going to push this guy through the through holes here. This takes a little bit of skill to line her up. Holy. Get her in. Whoa! Very nice. Okay, she's in. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of have something hold that in place, because otherwise I'm going to need 3 hands. So give me 2 seconds to hold that in place. Okay, sweet. So I got a pair of pliers on the bottom there to keep them in place. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the heat to the joint, and then I'm getting in and getting out. So the heat's going to apply for just a matter of 1, 2, and then I'm going to put the solder in here. So I'm going to apply the heat, 1, 2, apply the solder. There we go, get a good bead. Looks good, and get out. Right on. Okay, so again, we're going to put the heat onto the joint here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Apply the solder here. Maybe apply just for 1, 2, and get out. Right on. Then we're not putting an excessive amount of heat to the board and screwing up the board. So let's check out that solder joint and see how it turned out. All right, guys, looks pretty good. You can see that there's no point where the solder is touching there, so they're not going to short out there. And if we take a look at the top here, you can see that, or on the side maybe, like this. Just focus in here a touch. There we go. So it looks pretty good, eh? Doesn't look like there's any issues. It's pretty solid to the board there. If I turn over on the other side, then you can see the terminals that I've just placed onto the board there. They're fairly straight, not bad at all. And we'll be able to put our 2 terminals for the thermocouple on this guy. Right on. Good start, guys. There you can see the top there as well. Beautiful. You can see how dirty my hands are. I've been working in the garden. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our other terminal pins through these through holes as well. So we got to count them out and then clip off the amount that we need from these bad boys right here. Okay, so it's even harder than you think, because now that you're putting all these terminals in there, you've got to make sure that they're straight. So what I've done is I've propped up my Arduino Uno board, my breadboard, shoved the pins in so that they're nice and straight, and now I can solder on each individual pin. So let's see if I can do this and handle the camera at the same time. So we'll start over on this bad boy over here. We'll heat this guy up for 3, drop on some solder, let her sit for a couple seconds. Beautiful, looks good. Okay, we'll walk away and we'll do the next one. So we'll heat up the joint here for a couple seconds, then we'll apply the solder. Not too much solder. For that one I got too much on there, right? Look at that. Okay, and we'll pull it away. Okay, next one. So for that one I put a little bit too much solder, so try the next guy. 1, 2, 3. Solder's on. Oh, and you can see there that it almost shorted out that other terminal there. This one's not going so hot. Okay, and I'll pull away. That one's not so good at all. Okay, let's see, I'll come back to that guy in a minute. So let's heat this up for maybe a touch longer. Okay, then we'll apply the solder. There we go. And now you can see where you can screw up, right? Because look at that. Now I've got a joint there where I've got a shorting out between the two terminals. So now I got to fix that. Hang on for a minute. Okay, so we got that cleaned up now. Let's see if we can keep going here. So we're going to apply our heat to our terminal. Drop in the solder. Beautiful. And walk away. Let's heat it up just a touch. Looks good. Okay, let's clean up the solder off the tip here just by wiping it on the wet sponge. Okay, we're back in again. Applying heat for 1, 2, 3. Okay, solder's going in. Looks good, and a little bit excessive solder. I can trim that off afterwards. Okay, looks good, we're out. Beautiful. Okay, next guy. Again, we're going to clean off the tip now. Okay, we're going in. Heating this bad boy up for 1, 2, 3. I almost wonder whether I need to heat up that pin just a little bit longer. There we go. Okay, looks good. Okay, next guy, I'm going to try heating up just for a touch longer. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Solder's going on. Gonna sit the thing right on top of it. Beautiful, looks good. Okay, and our last terminal here. Again, I got lots of solder there. Let me just clean that up now. Okay, going in one last time. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Solder's going on. Okay. And then I'm actually just going to sit on the top of the terminal there just to wet everything up. Beautiful, and pull out. Right on. Excellent, looks good. Alright guys, there's our finished product. Not gorgeous, but that'll do. I don't have any solder that's touching on any of those terminals there. And I placed it onto the breadboard so that now that when everything goes in, she's nice and straight. Looks good. Okay, the terminals here for the thermocouple ends look alright. We've seen those already. Right, we'll be able to connect those guys up. They're fairly straight as well. Looks good. And the solder joints are half decent on this side. You can see that some of them are a little bit too large, but I don't see any cold solder joints or anything, meaning that they've made good contact with the board. Everything's nice and sturdy, right? I can grab this and move them around and nothing's breaking off. So I should have got a good continuity between my pins and the actual board now. But you can see it's not that easy. You need quite a bit of practice to get proficient at soldering, but not bad for my first one here. Okay, so I'm pleased with this guy. So this guy's ready to rock. That's my thermocouple amplifier. So let's drop her back in here. Close this guy up. Beautiful. A few extra pins left over that I can use later on. So I'll throw them with my other components. And let's do another one here, guys. Okay, so just as a comparison, here's the ultrasonic sensor. These joints are already made from the factory, and they're mint. Like, look at that. Awesome solder joints. Right? Not an excessive amount of solder. Nothing coming close to any other terminals. Right? So that's from the factory. That's what you're looking for right there. That's not what I just did on the previous couple seconds before, but that's what we're looking for. So comparing that bad boy to the one that we just did, let's just grab it and pull it out one more time. So we'll put them side by each. There we go. Okay, so again, these guys look alright right here, but these are fairly crude compared to what the factory has right here. Look how clean they have their solder joints. Whatever, mine's gonna work. It's all good. Okay, moving on. Okay, next one is the 2, 3, or 4 wire platinum RTD converter. This one uses the PT100 RTD. Let's see, the Max 31865. So this one we've got to make a couple solder joints on the actual board in order to allow her for 2 or 3 wire or a 2 wire there. But we'll get there in a little bit. First thing we need to do is put the terminal blocks on for the actual RTD. Again, we need to allow ourselves with 4 different terminals. So these guys are going to go in on the top here, right? So they're just going to, that's hard to do through the camera. Okay, so we want it setting up like this. You want to make sure that you're soldering the appropriate way, because wouldn't it suck if you were not watching what you're doing and you did that like a donkey. I say a donkey, but I've done it before. So we want both of these bad boys going out like this. And that's interesting. They're pushing up against each other. So let me see if I can get them to seat a little bit better. And then we'll turn it over and we'll solder these bad boys on. Okay, so check this out. It wasn't sitting properly. Like if I just jammed this guy in there, then it was sitting like this, right? And that's not so good. So there's got to be a way to get these guys to seat properly. Well, look at this. There's a little seat here where there's a bulge on the one side. That's my technical term, the bulge. There's like a, what do you call it? Like a joint, right? And you can see that there's a little bit more plastic on this side and this guy right here. So there's a groove on either one of these guys, and they should be able to just slide into each other and mount on the board. So just like this, and like a this, and that's nice. Okay, I still messed it up. How did I mess it up? Let's try it again. It's just not so tight. Hard to do through the camera. Okay, so nice and tight. Push it in. That's pretty good, man. Okay, those are going to sit nicely like that, right? They're fairly straight there. They actually hold themselves in place. I'll see if I can jam them together just a touch more, but those are mint. So again, there's a groove here on the side of either of the terminals where they can slide into each other. Okay, there's the finished product. That's mint, eh? Look at that. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Beautiful. Okay, so next thing to do is to solder those bad boys on. Okay, so I've got my pliers that are jamming them in on the side there. They're seated nicely, so now we're going to apply the heat here. So we'll start over here on the right hand side. Apply the heat for 1, 2, 3, 4. Throw in the solder. Sit on top of the pin and get out. Looks good. Let's heat it up just a touch more. Beautiful. Okay, it looks good. Okay, next guy. We're going in. We're going to apply the heat here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Solder's going on. Looks good. Okay, starting to wick around the terminal. I'm going to the top of the terminal now. And now I'm pulling out. Ah, it's gorgeous. I like it. Okay, next one we're going in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heat's going on. Solder's going in. Wicking around the terminal. Right on. I'm going over top just to pull it off. Very nice. Okay, looks good. Okay, next one we're going in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Solder's going on. Okay, starting to wick around that terminal and coming up to the top. And I'm literally like putting the tip on the top of that terminal there to heat up that solder and then pulling out. That looks gorgeous. Right on. Okay, looks good. You can see how having one of these setups here, so what I'm using is this guy right here, and it's mint because it can hold the actual component that you're trying to solder to, because otherwise you need to have like 5 different hands to hold this guy nice and steady. These are great, and it provides you with the magnifying glass so you can see what you're doing as well. Okay, there's the finished product there. Holding in my hand, I'm putting heat on for too long. I can feel the heat on the board, so that count of 4 is definitely a little bit too long. I might crank up the heat a touch and then put it on for a little less, because I'm definitely overheating this board. I can feel it right now, and it's way too hot. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put these other terminals on there. So I've placed the terminals onto the board. Then I'm putting my component on top there, making sure that they're nice and straight and that there's not much give there. I had it on that component before that was holding it with the alligator clips, but too hard to film and try and get everything in there nice and straight. So what I'm going to do is I'll drop the camera down nice and close and I'll solder on this board. Okay, here we go. So we're going to put the heat to it, just not as long. All right, so we'll drop our heat onto this guy for 1, 2, drop our solder on. Looks good, and get out. Looks good. Okay, we'll let her cool down for a little touch. Okay, next guy. We're going in. Try not to touch our other components. So I'm going to come around this side and hopefully not smack the camera here. Okay, so going in with my heat. Now my solder. Beautiful, and coming out. Nice. Okay, next one, going in with my heat. 1, 2, solder. Okay, and I'm out. 1, 2, solder. Beautiful, and I'm out. Okay, 1, 2, solder, and I'm out. This is working out a lot better. 1, 2, solder, and I'm out. 1, 2, solder. Yeah, beautiful. It's wicking around nicely. Okay, even as I pull it back, it wicked around even better. Okay, and then 1, 2, solder, and I'm out. Beautiful. Well done. All right, guys, I think we'll end her there. So far, you've seen me go from just brutal soldering joints to something that's half decent here. By no means is this anywhere close to what we saw from the factory. But hopefully it was a little bit entertaining, and hopefully you've learned a little bit about soldering. By no means is this like an expert showing you how to solder. This is a complete noob saying, all right, I got some Arduino components. I need to make them work. I've seen a few YouTube videos and I have a limited knowledge on soldering. So let me just put her out there. And what I've done is I've also opened it up to the world. So if you want to feel better about yourself, take a look at the comments below because I'm probably getting destroyed here. I mean, I have no idea what I'm really doing here. So in the comments below, you'll see like, what are you doing? I'm probably using the wrong solder. I'm keeping it on the board for too long. My solder connections look like crap. You know, just look at the comments below and feel good about yourself because I'm getting destroyed after this one. All right, guys, hopefully you found this entertaining. If you like this video, give a thumbs up. If you have some comments to destroy me or give me some constructive feedback, then leave them below. All right, guys, thanks very much. We'll see you in the next video.